Hello, welcome. So in this particular lecture, we are going to go over the important attributes of a website logo. So these are most important things you need to put into consideration before making a choice for a logo or logo sampling. Logo sampling is actually placement of logo on the header, footer, or anywhere else the client want the logo to appear. Okay, we've talked about the favicon previously in our previous lesson. We talked about the favicon and how it should be applied and why the favicon don't actually need the name of the brand. It's just icon, as we learned from our previous lecture. But today is totally different lesson, and we are going to understand why the logo stands out in certain websites and why it doesn't in most websites. So for this, I made a couple samples of the website we've made in the previous time, and I decided to pull it up through so people can also get an idea of what we are talking about before we implement. So the first one we have here is Kata Studio's website. So as you can see, the logo we have from this particular corner is in a horizontal format. Now, a logo comprises of the icon and the name of the brand. A favicon comprises of just the icon of the brand. Icon can be the name initial or name initial in design, a couple of name initials of the brand, or just an icon that represents an aesthetics of the brand or the objective of the brand. That's what we actually extract to make a favicon. But for a logo, we need the name of the brand and we need the logo of the brand. Now, one thing you might in most cases avoid is taglines. Taglines actually are very tiny letters beneath a logo. If a tagline is too much, you avoid it. You can erase it out and use just the logo name, especially if the logo have more than 4 words. So I'll be putting up a course in the future to teach how to create a logo for web designers specifically. But this particular course is not to teach you how to make logos. It's how to extract a logo when a client sends you and what format to request from a client. So the first instance we have, like I said, is a logo and the name of the brand. The logo here represented by my image and the name of the brand with the objective of the brand beneath it. This is not a tagline. The objective beneath that says website and brand design is not a tagline. Okay, a tagline can be in such format, but in most cases a tagline is talking about the core objective of the brand, like the motto of the brand or a brief statement from the brand. So now we got this part figured out, and this format of logo is a horizontal landscape logo type. This one can work perfectly well on headers like this, tiny headers like this. Okay, now we have only 2 formats of logo type for website design placement. We have the horizontal one, like the one I'm showing you right now. Even if we disable the image from here and have the logo to just be the name, which can be in most cases, it is no problem at all. Why is no problem? That can also stand as a logo. The name of the brand can also stand as a logo. For instance, a client who don't have money to make a logo, you can actually write out their name in Photoshop or Illustrator, then use it as the logo. Possibly just put a dot at the end or put a box around it, and that's just the logo. I hope you get the point. So it must not be a kind of fanciful design or this or that, delaying your work or waiting for all those processes. Just get into work, close the deal, get into work with what you can make available. And that's why we have this particular module in our course, web design course, for graphic design for website designers. So we have this first one. Why I'm taking this particular lesson very easily is because there are a lot of things we need to talk about in this particular one, and I want to make sure you understand exactly what is going on so that you don't feel left behind. Now, like I said earlier, this logo formats are in two. Number one is the horizontal, which is what we can find here, and also I think we can find that here. See Flaticon, their logo. We can drag it out. You can actually drag out a logo in most cases. As you can see from here, I'm dragging it around now, but when you leave it, it snaps back to where it's coming from. The same applies to this. See, as I can drag around Kata Studios and I leave it, it snaps back. And you can also right click and save the image if it is possible to save. And you can see the format this image was created with SVG. Okay, so when we save this in the desktop, we will be able to open this image content in AI or whatever tool that supports it. But this can't be viewed. You just can't view this easily as image except your Windows support that format. So when your Windows support that format, you open it, you are going to see that content. I hope you get it. But the most cases is that this particular content is not an image content. This is an SVG, which means is a vector shape. So when we drop it or toss it in like so, we can easily find it from here. And we can further edit it. As you see, it's scalable. It have the whole edges very well, is very well organized. So if your client sent SVG, you open it in AI. If you send AI, you can request for a client to send you the source file. Source file might include the PDF, the SVG, the PSD, the AI file, whatever file that is editable is a source file. Then if the client don't have the source file, the client can send you the transparent logo. Transparent logo, I'm going to show you example of that right now. So let's get to my project and let's extract a logo from, let's check Azimat. Okay, fine. So now we see that Azimat have a logo that have background and another one that doesn't have background. So like this one, we can use this. Your client send you this, you can use this as the logo in the header. Why? Because this already have a background. So let me show you the kind of thing we need. This is the kind of thing we need. As you can see, it doesn't have any background whatsoever. You can notice that by the shades around here. You see the lines there are transparent. You can see through the background, you can see through it, but this one we can't see through the background. The white is covering all the parts. So we need a logo format that if it is PNG, which is this one we are sorting for, it should be a transparent logo that have the background sorted out already. But in most cases, clients might not have that. All you need to do is to extract the logo to Photoshop. Just drag it into the Photoshop at the top side like we did in the previous one. Okay. Then use the eraser tool from here. Select the eraser tool and mark on the part you want. Make sure every other thing is removed. Like as you can see from here, we have some debris from here which we may need to remove. So hit on all of those things and make sure they are removed. So now when we are done with that, we need to resize this, because if you place this as the logo in the header like so, it is going to bump up. You know what happens when you have extra padding at the top and padding at the bottom as a web designer, and that is what's going to happen here. So the image have automatically created a padding top and padding bottom and padding left and right, which is not what we want. Okay, so what you need to do is to remove those paddings manually. So to do that, click on this tool called the crop tool, and these options will pop out. If this option don't pop up and it turns to be a square, you can click on clear from here. So when you clear it, you'll be able to resize it the way you want. So what I want you to do is to actually make sure you drag this and get to the peak of this logo. Do the same to the bottom part, get to the peak, but don't get that too close so that you don't crop out any part of the logo like so. Okay. Then get to these other parts, crop to this part, and also do the same thing with the left angle. So once you're done with this, hit on enter and we have the logo we want. Now this is in PNG, which means this is a transparent design. So what we need to do here now is to click option, control and alternate, then we click on save. Then we have to save this as PNG because we want it to be transparent. Why we want to save it as PNG is because if we change the background of this header, the logo won't be affected. So we change this background to a lighter gray, we will see that it will still maintain the format of the logo. But if we have a particular color around the logo without it being saved as PNG, we have a problem of, we run into the problem of having a background contrast issue. This one, we have a black shade and the header itself, we have a gray shade, which won't make sense. So you can save this as your logo name, the owner of the brand logo name. So we can call this Azimat logo and save it as PNG. Then we can save in the desktop so we can use it. So you can save as a large file, no problem. So this is the way to extract it, even in case the client sends you a logo that have background. But make sure the background is very simple, either a bright background, white background, or just a black background. Just a plain background that you can just hit on crop or with the tool crop to remove the background and then proceed with the rest of the things. So as you can see from here, we have our logo from here and we can now use it as our logo icon. That's number one way to create a logo. I'm going to bring more feature. This one is actually the basics. I'm going to bring more feature ways on how we can create a logo for a website, though I'll be making a tutorial on that, on how to use Illustrator to create a logo for clients. Okay, but for this one, I hope you understand it. This only points on clients logo already existing and you making a mesh of it, then using it for the website. So we have understand why layout is like this, because we want it to match in this particular format. Now there's a second variant of logo. Like I told you earlier, we have this horizontal or landscape format for logo types. Then if we come over here, we have this one. This one is neither vertical or horizontal. This is the box shape, or we call it the square shape logo type. Usually this one is complex to use. So if you come across a client who have a logo that is circle in format or box in format or stuff like that, something like that, it's a little bit disturbing to use, especially if the client's name is within the frame of the circle. Now we could have a circular logo like so, but still have the name by the side, like we have from here. We have Hostinger, as you can see, we have a boxed shape logo from here, but we still have the name from here, so it makes it automatically a horizontal logo type. I hope you get the point. The same applies to Kata Studios, as we have a box shape logo from here, but the name applied behind the logo makes it a horizontal, because since the name is separated from the logo itself, it's easier for us to read, and it now can contain in this sleeky or tiny space we created for the header. But for this one, it won't work. If you shrink this a little more, you won't be able to read clearly what is going on here. You can't even be able to practically read the triple B and understand the styling or the information the client wants you to see. So the client wants this information to be here, and she wants it to be, and that is why we have to do it. So since we have this content as so, and we actually want everything to show, we have to pull out the logo in a way that the logo overlaps with the header, and creating that much space, makes it easier for people to read through. You might be wondering, how will this be responsive on mobile? Let's check that very quickly. So when we click on inspect, you see how this flows, and it's very simple and sleeky. We don't have any problem at all. We still have the logo icon very well placed and just overlapping, feeling like a style. Even this feels the same way the brand, the product the client sells feels. Like it's the way balls feels, the way scrunches feels, and all of that. Like popping out a circle that is popping out kind of unique on its own. Just the brand aesthetics just have to be added to the styling in the header to make things look nice. But one thing you have to notice from here is that the header from here is a little bit tinier than the header we have from here. See, the header we have from here is large. Why? We have to make it like so we can accommodate this most part, like 1/3 part of the logo itself. Now you might be considering, why not make the header itself smaller so that we can pull this out a little more. When we do that, we are creating more obviousness in the logo itself, which is not what we want to do. The idea here is not for people to check on the logo itself. It's for people to read what the brand is about and buy from the store. So very simple, as you can see, very simple and sleeky. We still made a change with that. And you can also say, why not put everything inside of the header, since the header have a larger space. The problem here is that we have issues of seeing most parts of the content the clients want us to see, like I said earlier. But there are cases we still override this, and I got a third sample to explain that. So we go to MDKC Market. As you can see from here, we have the logo very tiny at the edge, and we have the header at a very minimal height, not very tiny and not very large, and we still have our logo serving very perfectly well from here. We can also pop this out. I think that's more advisable. I never came up with this idea when I created this other website. So I think it is something nice you may want to do if you want to do yours that way. You get the point. But if it's something you don't want to do that way, you can just avoid it. If the logo is a little bit readable like what we have from here, you can leave it as so. Okay, so now we've understand the basics of a logo, we understand the horizontal format, and we understand the square space or the circular format as we have from here, and why we have those conditions. So when next you are picking up a logo from a client, make sure the client send you a PNG version of it, and if they don't, you already know how to extract that from Photoshop. And if you don't know how to use Photoshop, I'll be leaving a link below this particular tutorial for Photoshop and Illustrator guide. Those playlists will give you thorough guide on how to use the basics of basic tools in Photoshop and Illustrator. Just take a week or so to go through those courses or go through those lessons. Then you can come back, make your logos as much as you can. You can even make logo when you watch those tutorials, because I specifically pointed out a lot of things. I gave a lot of practicals and a lot of lessons are in that particular playlist to help you actually navigate your way through understanding Photoshop and Illustrator, and not only understanding them, also using them to build a design. So that is it about our lessons today. We learned why the logo is important and why it is important in some areas, why some logos are in the left and this one is in the center. And we also understand the necessity why you should ask for a logo source file from a client. And we learned how to extract a logo in case a client sends a logo that already have a background. And we understand why we make some logo pop out from the header and why some header are large and some headers are small. Now, if you visit some website and you notice the website header are large, the content in it are too, the logo in it, the header itself is too large, you understand that the content inside of the header requires that particular header size. It's not just large for nothing. I think I have another sample from here which we can go through. Let me show you. So very quickly, let me show you this one. So we check out this live website. Let's see how large this logo is. Okay, see how large this logo is. The name and everything is just in one place. Okay, so that's why the header is this large, and they have to separate the hero section to just make the listing very easy for persons. But the logo itself, you see the size of the header is not even compared to the largest version of header we have from here. So the larger the logo icon, and you see the favicon they use from there. I wonder how this favicon is going to perform on a white background. This is not going to work on a white background. So when looking at some favicon, you understand whether it's professionals that handle those particular area of design or not, because most cases, most websites are built by multiple people. Designers handle some aspects, professionals handle some aspects. For that particular one, if they are not using the kind of favicon that have background already within it, is not going to work out well. So that is it about our logo tutorial today. We are not here to learn how to create logo. We already understand how to extract logos and the basics of logo, inserting logos in a website, the basic things you need to understand. And that is it for this course for today. My name is Manuel from Kata Studios. I'll meet you in the next one.